Hall of
Just
Fame.
American Sports
An
Hall of
American
Fame.
Sports Hall of Fame.
I think we should narrowly define it like that too.
American. Yeah, well, that's what I think I meant to say yesterday, but I forgot.
You did say that yesterday.
Yeah. And what if there were, in Chicago, Illinois, there were a American Sports Hall of Fame? Who would be your top 5 candidates to go into the initial class?
Wait, it would be based in Illinois? No way.
I would put it there.
You would.
Or in Cleveland, Ohio. But they've got Canton.
Yeah, they've got Canton.
But anyway,
been there, by the way. Sweet place.
But anyway, yeah, my family grew up right there. Anyway, we're digressing. So Doug, if there were an American Sports Hall of Fame, who would be your top 5 candidates to go in the initial class?
Yeah, this would be. I mean, let's just say it opens in 2011. So first class, anybody that came in front of you from before. Should I just say my number 5?
Number 5, yeah.
Okay, let's just say it's like NFL or NBA or whatever. Only 5 people per class. My 5th guy that gets in, and this is hard because the way I went about this was I feel
this is difficult this week.
I feel that it should be basically the greatest from each sport. That's kind of how I looked at it, and so my 5th one, because I feel like I have the weakest case on this, is the greatest from baseball. And really, there's a lot of guys you can pick. You could have looked at Cy Young or Sandy Koufax or Babe Ruth. But to me, I went with the true leader of the home run record, which is the biggest baseball record. I didn't say the leader. I said the true leader. I'm going to say Hank Aaron, my number 5. And, hey, it could be anybody. There's a lot of people. If you want to say Cy Young, I could agree with that too. But personally, I go with Hank Aaron.
Interestingly enough, my number 5 is also in baseball. And my number 5, for many of the same reasons, was Babe Ruth.
Yeah, and I can see Babe Ruth. I personally feel like there's better, than Babe. I think Babe is the face of baseball, all time. But I'm not sure he's the best player.
Okay, your number 4.
Number 4 is from the NASCAR arena. Again, I'm trying to pick the best as I see him, and also part of my thing about the best is I want it to be the guy that non-fans or casual fans will name as the best. That's your kind of verdict. I mean, you might be able to say for whatever reason that in my opinion this guy is because of blah blah blah, but if non-fans, who do they say? And I think in NASCAR there's only 2 names that would come up, but I think the name that comes up more often or more likely or more deservedly even would be the King, Richard Petty. And I put him above Hank Aaron because, to me, 200 wins says consistently dominant versus Hank Aaron, 756 home runs means consistently excellent. I'll take dominance over excellence.
Good. My number 4 is from basketball. And when I say basketball, I'm sure you can come up with a name that I'm thinking of. But just for
Larry Bird.
Just for
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
For dominance, you can't deny it. 6 championships, 2 three-peats.
Stop right there, Patrick Ewing. Right?
My number 4 is Michael Jordan.
Understandable. A little low, don't you think?
Not when you hear my top 3. Actually, I think you're going to be intrigued as my number 1. You go ahead, number 3.
Okay, number 3, on to football. Again, as I see it, this is also hard because football, I don't think there's a clear number 1 player of all time. So I had to kind of use my best estimation. And I think a guy that a lot of people would point to, one of many, but I certainly hope a lot of people would point to, because I do, is Joe Montana. To my opinion, best quarterback of all time. And quarterback, considering it's pretty much the hardest position in football, best player. Because if you're the best at that, there's something you're bringing to the table that hundreds of thousands of other guys who have tried to be and play football professionally did not bring to the table.
My number 3 is in hockey.
Okay.
And my number 3 is Wayne Gretzky. I think that he brought so much to the game, and I think we could agree that he is one of the faces of hockey.
He transcended the sport.
Yes.
There's a few guys that transcended the sport. Your number 4 and your number 3 are both guys that transcended their sports, which is why Wayne Gretzky was my number 2.
Oh.
He transcended the sport of hockey. Again, best player in hockey history. There are others that were great. I know the name Hulk comes to mind, but Gretzky is he had a nickname too. I think it was the Chosen One or something like that.
Yeah.
And so people, you're the greatest when the supposed second coming is compared to you, which is Sidney Crosby,
yes.
is compared
exactly. Great point.
to Gretzky.
Great point. Yep. My number 2 is from the NASCAR arena. And my number 2 is the other half of those number 2 of the 2 that you had talked about that fans would bring up. I just think Dale Earnhardt would deserve to be in there. I'm not saying Richard Petty wouldn't be, but if it were me, I would put Dale Earnhardt in before Richard Petty.
And this thing, I think a lot of people would say Earnhardt, but I think Earnhardt gets a lot. Earnhardt's press is better because he's been, since he died, he kind of got, he got saintized. And so, I mean, there was people forget that Earnhardt did wrong, or Earnhardt, wasn't necessarily like a great finesse driver and all that. The thing about Earnhardt, though, 7 championships, but only 76 wins. I mean, Waltrip raced as long as Earnhardt, and Waltrip had 8 more wins. Not so many championships, but I mean, why didn't he win more? How many races did he crash out of, I wonder? That's what I kind of...
Or how many races did he crash out of in the closing laps, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, same thing. Or bad luck, whatever. I think Earnhardt was one of the greatest. I don't think he was the greatest. In fact, I don't even think Richard Petty was the greatest. But 200 wins speaks for itself, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And that's why I say I'll give Petty the nod over Earnhardt.
Okay, you're number 1.
Number 1. How can Michael Jordan not be your number 1 on this list? Michael Jordan is the greatest athlete. If I looked at all these athletes, I want to say he does the best at what he does. Michael Jordan was better at being a basketball player than Wayne Gretzky was at being a hockey player, than Hank Aaron was at being a baseball player, than Richard Petty was at being a driver, than Joe Montana was being a quarterback. He didn't just win, he dominated, and he was the best there ever was and probably ever will be in basketball. And there's no way, I don't think, I couldn't believe you couldn't put him number 1. Only 4? Michael Jordan, by and far the best player that basketball's ever seen.
My number 1 is somebody that I feel has, as we talked about, transformed their sport. And not just that, but they are just for so many reasons, even outside of sports, including their sport. I put Tiger Woods as number 1, and I really believe that. He has done so much.
Travesty
for his sport.
He's an active player. Travesty. There is not a single active player on my list. Travesty. When he's done, we'll talk, but he's not done yet.
Well, you added the 2011 stipulation in this morning before I put him on there. But
hypothetically speaking, if we were doing this, I mean, we'd have to have 2 years to build the place. If we broke ground today, it would be 2 years before it even opened, or 3 for that matter. But still,
and there are active coaches in the Hall of Fame, Hall of Fames.
First of all, should coaches be in the Hall of Fame? Discussion for another day, but query posed.
I mean, there is nothing saying that you well, in certain sports you can't be active, but in other ones you can be.
The majority of sports you have to be inactive, because I don't think there's any way you can judge a career Hall of Fame worthy before it's complete.
Yeah,
and I don't think you can give Tiger Woods a nod over anybody that at least on my list, with his incomplete career. His incomplete career would have to be so much better. Like, he would have to be so much better at what he does than everybody else on this list. And right now he's on Jordan's level, maybe, if that. Well, he's probably more like a Gretzky's
level. The interesting thing for me is I didn't even necessarily base it. I had a hard time ranking them. For me, it was just those 5 that I know I would put in. It's just like, I mean, for me, it was harder as far as the actual rank.
Travesty.
But I think we're running out of time.
We are. We got like 2 minutes left. Just want to say the quick things again. Thank you to FVTV, Waubonsie Community College. Paul Sauer today. He is directing for us.
Thank you, Paul.
I think if I said your last name wrong, you can punch me in the face after I'm done. And thanks to everybody else, Chris Klavinsky, Jamie Lar, for their help once again. Chris, hit us up with that information.
Yeah, if you want to, you can check us out, of course, on iTunes. Just do a power search on the iTunes store. Search Racin and stuff like Doug always says, like it is behind us. And speaking of, if you're watching this, you can watch us on YouTube, youtube.com/Racin and stuff, RACAN, no G. And if you ever want to send us, a question, comment, concern, criticism, praise, whatever, you can email us at racinandstuff@gmail.com. So there's lots of ways to get a hold of us and to watch us and enjoy, hopefully.
All right.
We'll have a lot to talk about next week, I think, too.
All right. I usually give a rundown, but we're out of time, so I'm just going to leave it like this. I'm Doug.
And I'm Chris.
And we'll talk to you later.
See ya.